Let's bring in California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla. He's a ranking member of the Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration, Citizenship, and Border Safety. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time. We just heard Keith Ellison say his interactions with Tom Homan have been better than what the state had before. Homan says the president agrees the Minnesota surge is ending. How will you know when it's really over?
Thank you, Anna. Well, I'm going to quote my colleague, Senator Tina Smith from Minnesota, out of a meeting this morning. She says, "I'll believe it when I see it," right? Because a couple of weeks ago, we heard the White House say they were going to sort of tone it down in Minnesota. They drew down a few hundred federal agents, but the madness continued. The indiscriminate raids, the violence continued. So now Homan is saying they accomplished what they sought to accomplish, and they're going to phase it out. But there's no timetable. You know, is it over the course of a couple of days, over the course of a week, over the course of a month? And are they changing their tactics in the meantime? So we're going to remain vigilant.
One of the things we heard again, and we keep hearing from officials, including Tom Homan, is that they are doing targeted enforcement of criminals, but that agents won't look the other way if they come across other undocumented immigrants in these operations. But because of that, we have seen now an uptick of children being caught up in this. The Marshall Project says on average, 170 children are in ICE detention centers every day. And over the summer, that number spiked to more than 400 on a single day. I want us to hear from one of these children. 14-year-old Ariana spent 44 days at that Dilley Detention Center in Texas. And here's what she told ProPublica.
Since I got to this center, all you will feel is sadness and mostly depression. All kids are being damaged mentally. They witness how their parents and other people are being treated. They don't have schools or doctors. All they have are nurses. Serious situations happen and the officers can't take them serious enough. There are no consequences. They don't even care.
Senator, a federal judge just ordered the DHS to get children like Ariana proper medical care inside your state's newest and largest detention facility. You've been there. What are these children up against?
These children, sadly, are up against the cruelest administration we've ever seen. And it doesn't have to be this way. So I'm glad you're bringing attention to that element of the Trump administration's immigration operation. It's not just the indiscriminate raids and the violent roundups. What's happening when folks are then in detention facilities, including children? You shouldn't have to go to court to say, you know, that just from a humanitarian standpoint, they need basic things like water, you know, basic food, what kind of conditions they're living in, access to medical attention. That was our big takeaway when Senator Schiff and I visited the California City facility a couple of weeks ago. Lack of immediate medical attention, not just for minor issues, but for chronic diseases and major issues that happen in detention facilities. This administration doesn't care. Paola, in the recent segment, talked about the dehumanizing factor. They're shameless about it. They're very intentional about it. And that's why we need the reforms that we're asking for within ICE, within CBP, within the Department of Homeland Security as a whole.
We should note that DHS does say no one is denied medical care and that all Dilley detainees are provided with 3 meals a day, clean water, clothing, bedding, showers, soap, and toiletries. Meantime, NBC News is reporting.
It wouldn't be the first time that this administration is lying through their teeth. They can say what they want, but when federal judges are finding otherwise, and in the case of California, saying we're going to require a monitor to ensure compliance because they don't believe what the operators of the facility are saying, they don't believe what the White House is saying.
And I know we're hearing from people who are experiencing it, including children, so that gives a lot for people to ponder, at the very least, to make their decision who to believe. Meantime, NBC News reports that the Trump administration is dramatically increasing its effort to strip naturalized Americans of their citizenship with the quota of 100 to 200 possible cases per month. That would be a huge increase to what is more typical. What normally leads to a person losing their citizenship, Senator?
Yeah, look, we're in unprecedented territory here. This is a president and administration trying to extend their reach and power until somebody puts an end to it. And so we're putting up, the daily fight here in the Senate right now to say no more funding for ICE or CBP until certain reforms are in place. But we need our Republican colleagues to stand up as a co-equal independent branch of government to rein in this administration, to end the lawlessness, and they continue to refuse to do so. So we're not going to let them off the hook. We're going to take our case not just legislatively and legally into courts, but into communities, continue to have communities stand up like they've done in Minneapolis, like they've done in Los Angeles, like they've done in Chicago, and beyond. And we're going to not lose sight of the importance of this November's elections.
Senator Alex Padilla, thank you so much for joining us. There's always more to discuss. I hope you'll come back, and I really appreciate you sticking with us. I know you've been waiting a while when we took those live remarks from the Attorney General of Minnesota, so thank you very much for your patience.